is America's life coach. Fox Across America with Jimmy Fallon.
Now, if you're watching on Fox Nation, you might think the lead singer of Aerosmith just sat down in my studio based on the way he's holding the mic, but I can confirm it is your former Attorney General, Bill Barr, who joins us now. Hey, man.
Hey, Jimmy.
Yeah, a couple less scarves than Steven Tyler uses on your mic stand.
Yeah.
You've only got like 3 or 4.
I need it that close because of my soft voice.
You know, you do. People talk about you playing the bagpipes. No one ever talks about your singing. I understand you're here to promote your new album. You want to get the phones lit up. You're here to promote your new album. I agree with Alvin Bragg.
Oh God!
The studio's under attack. Now it's great to see you.
Good to see you.
Always good for morale to have you come in and have an adult conversation with me, because there aren't, as you know, a lot of measured takes out there in America anymore, because everybody's in a race to the top of Mount Clickmore. And you can't get there on moderation. You can't get there on nuance. But knowing that you've built this empire on nuanced, measured takes, where did you find yourself in reacting to the verdict last week? Or even just the idea that they brought the trial in the first place?
Well, you know, when people were talking about it, I said the case was an abomination. And I didn't think it was going to be brought at the end of the day because it was so vaporous, you know. And so I was surprised they went ahead with it. And, you know, it met its billings. That is, it was an abomination. Everyone's talked about that. But you think about how are the American people going to react in a very close election if Trump loses and this case is overturned, which it will be. Yeah. This case will be overturned.
Yeah. I think that's the point of the case, is to just have it here for the election.
Right.
It's kind of the way they nuked the Hunter Biden laptop, which we're now watching as admissible evidence in a courtroom.
Right.
I mean, does that not constitute some form of election interference by them? I don't know that it technically by the letter of the law. It does, though, right?
Yeah. It was absolutely interference.
And it certainly influenced the outcome of that election. It's like imagine the refs.
Right.
Okay, they swallowed their whistles.
Right.
But they seemed to be doing so. It was almost as if the ref had money on the game and was swallowed. It wasn't a blown call, you know? And that's the part that concerns me.
Right. And the polls at the time showed it was a significant portion of American people said they were influenced by that.
Mm-hmm. And I don't see any world where Trump himself, though, if you know, to the scenario you described, loses a close election, is going to feel like this was on the level. I mean, I don't know that he's getting a fair fight right now. For whatever people listening think of Donald Trump, he is entitled to a level playing field.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And that's where the gag order comes in. If they keep this gag order on him, again, it's unprecedented and crazy that you have a major candidate who can't defend himself.
Yeah. While the other side is running on this very verdict.
Right. And witnesses such as Cohen and Stormy Daniels are out there talking about it, and he's not allowed to go and counteract them.
Yeah, there's no way that's legit. We're talking to former Attorney General Bill Barr, who was in studio. You know, the one thing I would tell you is there is an optimistic take in that, you know, obviously the border and the economy are doing great. So we've got we've got that to fall back on.
Right.
I'm kidding. No, it's all a mess. But to that point, I think one of the reasons this verdict is going to play such a significant role in the campaign is because it's their lead. It's all they got. You know, I talk about the Biden record of governance, and the analogy I use is, do you remember, you know, the old analogy about someone's trying to set you up on a blind date, but they won't tell you if the person's good looking? You know, how's she look? Oh, you like sports. She likes sports. Oh, really? Yeah, good looking blonde brunette. I'll tell you, you're funny. She's funny. And you know everything you need to know. So in this instance, they don't want to tell us how the girl looks. They don't want to run on his record because there's not an Instagram filter out there that's going to clean up that mess.
Right.
So I would imagine this to be a significant chunk of what they do. But do you think that does a disservice to the voter who might be, you know, led to prioritize this flim-flam verdict over the actual quality of life conditions that have deteriorated under Biden?
Absolutely, it's unfair to the voter, and you know, the co-conspirator in all of this is the mainstream media, who will not talk about the issues or give honest reports on anything, but will just focus on Trump and what they want to focus on. They were co-conspirators in the whole laptop thing. They helped. A lot of people say to me, well, why wasn't something said by your administration and so forth? Well, actually, the FBI did send a letter to the Hill, and the right person spoke up, who was the director of national intelligence, John Radcliffe, because these were intelligence people talking about it. So we had an intelligence person answer and say no. Did the media cover that?
No,
not at all.
Stop it.
and they're doing the same thing now. And this border executive order is flim flam. And the media will treat it as if it's really a step. It isn't.
No,
it's not going to have any material effect.
Our best hope at this point, is the way Biden is governing, people are going to start running back into Mexico. In the long run, Trump's going to be right. Mexico actually will pay for a wall. The new president's going to be like, enough! No more fleeing Americans! Bill Barr is here. Let me ask you this. Is it common for a number 3 at the DOJ to defect and go work for a local prosecutor on a case like this? That's one of the refrains I've heard a lot of. I don't know if there's a precedent. I don't know if that rubs you the wrong way. I don't know where that sits with you.
No, it's very unusual, obviously. I can't think of a similar circumstance. And I think we're going to have to wait and see. Was this his own, passion that he was pursuing?
Oh, man. I'm gonna take no for 500, Alex. And I can't sit here to the listener. I try to be responsible with this platform, and I can't sit here and show them some type of a tangible proof that the White House was involved or overseeing this. But my horse sense tells me someone with an interest in getting Joe Biden reelected might have been influential in these prosecutions being brought against Donald Trump. Is there a world where you could fathom such a thing?
I could fathom it. And Andy McCarthy makes a very good point, which is that the federal government has exclusive jurisdiction over enforcing the federal campaign finance laws. That is the Department of Justice and the Federal Election Commission. And I think normally, had some state tried to do this, the Department of Justice would have spoken up and said, you can't do that. You can't drag the federal case into state court. We enforce it.
How about that? And they didn't.
They did it. They didn't. They were mum.
Which is fascinating to me, because normally they are just at the very least territorial over such things, are they not? Because it is their jurisdiction.
Right, and I think the Justice Department knows that the facts alleged in this case would not have constituted a federal campaign violation. And they let this circus go on where you had people like Michael Cohen explain to people why this was a violation.
So the guy who lost his law license is explaining why. This is. I always think I've been calling this case a triple Lindy. In the Rodney Dangerfield movie Back to School, his dive, a triple Lindy, involves him jumping off 3 different diving boards before he lands in the pool, which is ultimately how they completed this. So let me ask you this other question then. We got Bill Barr in studio. We're excited about it. And I'm not just saying that because of the $20 he just put on the table. It was, and I do believe we agreed to 50, so shame on you. This is, wow. Everything's down under Biden. This is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. But no, all right, so knowing all of that to be true, there's the dueling things going on involving the Justice Department, one of which is Merrick Garland, current Attorney General. So yesterday's on the Hill. The big fight is about the Robert Hur special counsel video, not the transcript. Now, their countenance to requests for that actual video where this could lead to someone creating a deepfake video of Biden, and it isn't protocol to disclose such a thing. But the point I heard yesterday that I thought was the most substantive reason for wanting it is that Hur's report, showed motive. It showed violation, but it absolved Biden based on condition, which in itself means that is, that's primal evidence that I think needs to be seen to take this at face value. So do you think Congress has a right to that video, or is there a concern with security?
Well, there are two things. One, I think the argument you just laid out is absolutely right. They have a compelling argument as to why it should be seen, which is it is the evidence of the befuddled old man that was the basis of Hur's decision, right? Because this transcript doesn't really reveal that. But my problem with it is this. It's often been said that I defend strong executive constitutional prerogatives. Had they drawn the line and said, we're not going to let you look at raw investigative files of our criminal investigation, right? That would be one thing. They see the public sees nothing. They just hear what the conclusion is. But they didn't. They put stuff out, including the transcript. I can't understand now how they can draw the line between the transcript and releasing the tape.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the compelling executive privilege argument at that point? So, even me, who generally would be more inclined to protect executive prerogative, I just don't see the basis for executive privilege in this case.
It's fascinating to hear you say that, because as I was assessing this yesterday, the justification we were given was, well, they could, make a deep fake video with Biden, and they can make a deep fake video with anything.
They can make it today.
Yeah.
They can make it today.
Right now. And here's a bigger point I might have made if I was in that hearing, which I wasn't, because they have very good security. I wasn't anywhere near it. But
a deep fake, no, go ahead.
No, all I was going to say is...
might help them.
Yeah, that's what I was, exactly. I was going to say, Bill Barr, you still got it, man. You still got it. You still got it. That's it. It's like, if they want to make him look bad, play his regular clips. Okay? The most damaging thing they could do to this president was, instead of putting the isolated camera on him when he speaks, put it on the sign language interpreter, who has to shrug 3 times a speech because they don't know what word he just said. That's a rough gig. That's a rough gig. It's the only president that makes the sign language interpreter shrug. You've never seen that. I've never seen that. But that's what we're watching. It's not right, Bill Barr. It's not right. It's not right. But it's good that you're here. Let me throw another one at you then. Okay. So we've got this border executive order, which I agree is, I think it's junk. To get to this place of actually signing an executive order, okay, it started out with him saying, I can't do anything. I need Congress to give me the help. I need Republicans to get me the help. And he brazenly told that lie as if he hadn't signed 90 executive orders to undo pre-existing policy.
Right.
Okay. So there's a bit of shamelessness in that, but I think it's baked into the cake in politics. But have they not been derelict in their duty to protect us based on the fact that they really did just open the border for all intents and purposes?
Absolutely. Oh. And this to me is cynical, is cynicism at its peak.
Yeah.
People should be under no illusion that at the end of the Trump administration, after 4 years of constantly fighting all the liberal judges in the country, he had succeeded in getting control of the border. And the main thing there was this remain in Mexico policy. Because if people think that by heading north, they're going to be able to put their tippy toe into the United States and then be paroled while their claim is adjudicated, they will come, and they will come in droves. And what stopped it was, you do not get to put your tippy toe into the United States. You remain in Mexico. It just shut it down. Shut it down.
And to that point, it also incentivizes Mexico to keep, influx out of their own country, knowing they're going to be tasked with, housing it all if it comes there, right?
That's right. And I'm sure that this Mexican government and the new government is not going to be helpful unless they're made to be helpful. This is a fundamental problem, I think, with the Biden administration. When Trump needed them to help seal the border, they were reluctant. And, he threatened tariffs and he threatened shutting down trade on the border.
Yeah.
And boom, they put 17,000 troops out the next day.
Well, that's where he's wielding our power in the right way.
Right.
You don't always get the feeling that the people driving this car have a solid GPS. It's a little bit of a mess down there. Last but not least, while we do have you here, can you give me a report card? Can you give me a grade for the president on foreign policy? Do you think he is doing enough to support Israel, or do you think he is a little too mindful of the blue-haired interns in the White House right now?
I'd give him a G.
A G?
A solid G.
Oh, no. A G.
No, I don't think he's...
Okay.
Not only is he not doing enough to, quote, support Israel, he's undermining Israel. And to me, it's inexcusable.
So what you're saying is 4 more years. I'm kidding. What you're saying is a year and a half more, because I don't know that he'd complete his presidency in the state he's in anyway.
In the meantime, I think he's been coddling Iran, and it's been his policies that are permitting Iran to develop and be in a position to engage in nuclear blackmail in the Middle East. In which case, the whole world changes.
Yeah, and I think to that point, okay, what we did have under the previous administration you were part of, okay, is we had the Abraham Accords, which did normalize relations with Israel's 6 Arabic nations and had brought an element of stability, if, by Middle East terms anyway, because they had kind of boxed Iran out.
Right.
And I think most countries in that region would prefer to live in a world where Iran was a lot less powerful than we seem to be making them, no?
That's absolutely true. And that's why Iran, incited all of this action recently to destabilize the situation because they saw things evolving very much against their position. With Arab countries more interested in getting along with Israel than having Iran.
Yeah, they don't want that.
Yeah.
No, I get it. You still got it, Barr. I just want to say it's so good to morale to have you back on the show. I can't promise you the world's going to be this smooth the next time we talk. I mean, this was a little bit of a cream puff.
It's going to be a bumpy. It's going to be a bumpy summer.
I hope you're taking time to play your bagpipes, march off into the wilderness somewhere, and come back around. My over-under for when they finish these votes, probably about November 22nd. What do you like there? Do you think we can get them counted by Thanksgiving?
I hope so.
The great Bill Barr.
I have to say, I really hope it's not a close election.
I know. We need a blowout.
Yeah.
We do. We need a Reagan Mondale or something of that nature. I think that's the best thing that could do for us. And that's the last question. If the Democrats lose a close one, in any world, do you see them saying this election is legitimate, or do you see them 2016ing it?
I see them 2016ing it.
Being guilty of everything they're
I see a super resistance.
Yeah. It's gonna be
if Trump wins this election.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of die-ins, a lot of handmaids, costume, all of that stuff's going down. All right. Well, I'll be picking up bagpipes after this interview. I'll meet you out in the woods. Thank you. The great Bill Barr. There he goes. There we go. Back after this.